Hello, and welcome to another episode of Amiga Retro. Today we have a box, a big box actually. Delicate instrument. This is actually an audio-video receiver box, but that's not the content of this box. Inside this box is something that I bought and received 3 years ago. Yes, 3 years ago, and I still haven't even opened it. This is an Amiga 4000. I vaguely remember the contents, obviously the computer, a keyboard. I don't know what's in it, and it's supposed to run. I guess it was part of an estate sale or something. But yes, I bought this in April of 2020, and it sat over there in the corner for the longest time, and now I decided to get it out just for this video. So I know there's been some work done on the battery was removed and haphazardly replaced with a coin cell battery holder, battery, whatever, 2032 thing. Yes. So let us, oops, my goodness, my microphone, sorry about that. Let us disassemble this box, or open the box. Oh yes, the excitement. 3 years of not opening the box, about to be undone. Yes. Must get my arm in the way. Wow, I know, be careful not to cut myself. Me and knives, bad combination. I injure myself more often than not. The knife always wins. Cutting towards myself, no, big no-no. No option though. If nothing else, this thing was packed really, really well. So we shall see how it fared, I guess, during transport. Yeah, need to pull this out a bit and try to get my arm completely in the way. That's that side. Oh, look, there's packing peanuts in here, my favorite, because they go everywhere. Everywhere, including where you're not looking. Okay, the knife wins again. No, actually, if it did win, it would have cut me. So no, the knife lost this time. Oh, see, already trying to make a break for it. It's what they do. Oh, I hit my monitor back there. So as you can see, many packing peanuts to be found here. You really can't see much there, can you? Yeah, there we go. Oh well, whatever. So I'm going to take this apart off camera. Ah, look at this. I see some kind of adapter cable of sorts. Interesting. I'm not sure. Whoa, I fell over because I tried to avoid hitting the tripod, which I'm going to probably do sometime. Anyways, my first part out of the box. And there's, wait a second, there's something else in here. Oh, packing peanut already escaped. See the keyboard in there. Oh, optical character recognition software with a disc. Oh, that's interesting. This might turn out to be an interesting purchase, because I can hardly remember, because like I said, 3 years ago. So let me remove the packing peanuts and stuff, and I'll join you at that time. Sign of return. I guess I'll try to do this on camera. I changed my mind, like always. Egg curtains without eggs in them, which would be good, because it's been sitting here for, oh, another one. Packing peanut made a run for it. I notice a very, and I did hit the tripod, yes, dirty and yellowish, but original Amiga 4000 keyboard. Hold that in view properly. Oh my gosh, what's happening here? It is stuck in something. Ah, there we go. The traditional PS2, like, it's slightly crushed as well. It's not very round. I might be able to fix that. I should be able to. I can slightly crush that back. Sorry, bad word. I will convince that, yeah, there's a bit of damage on this connector. Interesting. I'll see what I can do with that. Hopefully coax it gently back into shape. So yeah, very dirty, very yellow. I've never done retro writing, so this is going to be a good candidate for it, but I really hope I can fix this stuff. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. This keyboard is slightly heavy. There you go. Okay, now, what is this? More stuff. A printed user's guide. Not the original, but I believe the seller did say that they photocopied it, or maybe it was scanned at one time and didn't have the original. Pretty much useless to me. It's what it is, right? I will put that aside, and more cardboard. And this looks like the top of the computer. Yeah, and it looks like it's seen better days. Yeah, this is going to be quite the project by the looks of it. It's going to, I don't know, what the, like an elastic or something that has decayed on there. Yeah, so I'm not going to make a mess on camera, but yeah, this thing's definitely going to have to be cleaned up. But I'm going to take out the main computer without all the packing peanuts, and I'll join you at that time. I'm curious what kind of condition this thing really is in. I shall return. So I have freed it from the packing peanuts and other stuff. It's a bit yellowish. I can angle that towards the camera a bit. As you can see, definitely a candidate for retrowriting. Quite dirty. It's got some markings on it. I'm not sure how well it's going to clean up, but obviously better than what it looks. It did come with a myriad of cables, as you can see over here. It's got this mouse, which looks like it's more from a, whatchamacallit. I'm not sure if these came with the Amiga 4000. I don't think so. This looks like an Amiga 3000 mouse, actually. But it needs retrowriting as well, and to be a bit of a cleaned up. And like I said, if the buttons work or not, I don't know. There's a mono to stereo to mono cable here, I guess. Yes. We have a power cable here. Most of these cables are a bit stiff, probably because of their age, over 20 years old and whatnot. So your regular IEC connection, and of course, living in North America, the standard plug with a peanut in it, because why not? Yes, because they're everywhere. And then they seem to have a Centronics parallel printer cable thingy. Yes, so Centronics on the one end, and DB25 on the other, a male by the looks of it. Will not be using that cable. I don't have anything that would anyways, but I bought it for the computer, not the cables. Looks like a regular parallel serial cable. I'm not sure which, but either. And then a cable that may come in use. Looks like this is the standard, believe the older, some of the monitors for the Amiga will use this DB9. And of course you have the video out here, which will be DB23. So this video cable will come in handy, because I think my 1084S will accept that. Yeah, so that's it, I guess. About the mouse and the power cable, obviously, I can use right off the bat. I could risk plugging this in and turning it on and see what happens. But I think I'd like to open this up first, make sure nothing has shifted. I don't want this thing to blow up as soon as I plug it in. If it's going to blow up, it's going to be after at least check the insides, make sure nothing's come loose, shorting and whatnot. And then we'll see the condition of the motherboard and what's actually in this. So let me remove the various screws on this, and I will be right back. Okay, so excuse me if these camera angles aren't ideal. I have very limited room. There's only 2 screws on the back, and these are not the screws that are supposed to be in this. So obviously, I mean, I know it's been apart and whatnot, but yeah, another thing that has to be taken care of. I want to get this thing as close to factory as possible. At least be silver, not black. Oh well. And yeah, that's just this thing here is an elastic that might have decomposed over the last 3 years. It's been sitting in storage. Okay, are we ready for this? I'm not. Oh, look. Yes, I forgot to get rid of that. Oh, there's another one over here. This is like an S. But anyway, so because it's super, I paid a lot for this, and looking at the condition, I don't ever remember it being quite like this, but it's not a write-off, obviously. It's salvageable. It can be cleaned up, I'm pretty sure, but the proof will be in the pudding once I open this up. And like I said, that number 4 down here, maybe it was in a studio environment, something, some kind of office, and there's stuff inside. Let me put that. Okay, so we've got, I don't know what we've got. I don't know what any of this is. Cards. It's got memory. I see the motherboard down there. I might end up having to recap this. Oh, look, an actual hard drive as well. This doesn't, okay, this is connected to the board. So I don't see anything that looks horrible. I don't know what this card is that's kind of like loose here. And it's just the screw's not holding it on. I don't think you can see from where you're standing, from where I'm standing. Let me get you better into the view here. Yeah, this card here, it's just loose. That can be dealt with. I don't know what it is. Hard drive controller, I guess, but there's nothing used on it. This is using, by the looks of it, the motherboard controller. Anyway, let's just see if it boots. I don't see anything that looks out of place or whatnot, but who knows. So I'm going to hook up the power to it, and then we'll see if the monitor displays anything, shall we? So I am going to be right back, I guess. Fingers crossed on this one. Okay, I think I got it running. Well, video output, that is. I just went directly from the computer here through the OSCC, the open source scan converter, directly to the monitor before I was going through a matrix KVM switch of sorts. Not really a KVM, but yeah, one of those things, an HDMI multi-input device. I'm being super technical today. So let us see this thing boot up and see what happens. That sounds healthy. It sounds very healthy. Yes. Some kind of audio anomaly going on here. I'm not worried about that right now. So it looks like it rebooted, and now it's booting up. There we go. And it's got 24, this mouse almost works if I had a mouse pad for it, which I do. 1 second here. Yeah. So I confirm the mouse works just fine, and it's, let's see what we have on here. Yep, so it's 3.1 ROM with a different Workbench version of sorts. I'm not sure which version that is, actually. Interesting. And 24 megs of memory, roughly. Of course, your 2 megs of chip, which is partially eaten up. So it seems to work. I would type in a command, but I don't have the keyboard hooked up. So let me see if I can get that connector fixed, like I pointed out last time. This is a really bad angle, and I really apologize for this. Yeah. But let me see if I get that keyboard connected, and I'll be right back. And always turn it off when you do such things, and I shall return. So here I am at the better level of the computer. There's the keyboard connector. There is a bit of rust here, not too bad. I can clean that up easy enough. Now I don't know how well this is going to focus on that, if at all. Let me move this camera back a bit. I did manage to somewhat straighten out this connector, and it does now plug in easily to the keyboard connector without any effort. So it's snug. I didn't have to force it, so we should be good. Yeah, and of course there's a packing peanut remnants in here, because always they get into everything, but it protects stuff. Anyway, That's going to be like a serial card or something. I have no idea what that is, but I'll look that information up once I get the card out. That is that. But now that I have the keyboard connected, I can at least do some quick Amiga shell command line interface commands and see what's in this thing, as well as run various tools. I cannot think of the name of anything today, and I do apologize. But regardless, I shall be right back. Okay. And another reason why we had video issues earlier is the OSCC scan converter that I have doesn't care for NTSC output too much. This is an NTSC Amiga, so occasionally it freaks out and gives no display. A couple power cycles and it functions. But here we go. Boot it up and running. Maybe I can zoom in a bit for you. There we go. And let's see. I have a feeling, even though it says, what you hear, the whatchamacallit, the 4030, I have a hunch there's an 040 in this, just because of the card that I noticed earlier in the video. Move that over a bit. Oh heavens. Okay, there we go. So I'm not a big fan of the backdrop. There we go. So let's see what's in this, shall we? Quick way to do this is just type in the CPU command. And it's an 040, it's 6882. So it looks like it has the 3640 accelerator card in it. So someone has upgraded this to an 040. So that's a bonus. I believe that wasn't even mentioned in the sales on eBay 5,000 years ago. So that answers that. So it seems to be functional, and yes, OS 3.1 seems to be, or sorry, Kickstart 3.1 seems to be on it. But this Workbench version, I'm not familiar. Oops, my fault. I am not entirely familiar with, but doesn't really matter too much. It's from 1999, so Amiga International. Yes, one of the many owners of this beloved piece of proprietary hardware, software, whatever. Yes, this keyboard is positively filthy. I need to cleanse that. Shall I get up a bit higher? Sorry for this horrible tripod manipulation of the day. Yes, there we go. It's a bit higher. Yeah, it definitely needs to be cleaned. And I didn't mention it earlier, but it smells almost like came from a barn or something. So yeah, there we go, right? But it boots, it functions, but I'm gonna tear all of this down here, take all of this stuff out, and see what condition the motherboard is in, and we'll probably find that weird installation of the battery. Speaking of which, the clock, does it function? I don't know. Let's see. So I gave up on that endeavor, so I just put in Amiga Test Kit 1.2, and I can set the clock from there. I'm planning on doing a full OS reinstall and probably, a ROM upgrade and whatnot. So I'm not gonna muck around with that. But yes, apparently the press folder is gone completely. So don't change any of your settings, you're stuck with this. Oh well, anyway. So let's see if I can set the real-time clock, which is F8. And it's obviously detected, and it looks like the battery is not functioning. So let me try to set the time. Oh great, month, it's June. Okay, day, today is the 15th. And the time is roughly 2:17 or 14:17. Yes, what number is that? Day, I got that. Year. Let me do the year first. 2023. It's getting ahead of myself here. Hour, there we go. So we want 1400, that's F4. And I set the time, it's 18 now, that's F5. Oops, not close enough. And escape is save and exit. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the computer off. count to about 5 seconds, turn it back on again, and it's going to boot off the disk. At least I know the floppy somewhat functions. Might need to be cleaned, but it works. It boots off the test disk at least. At least it works well enough to get that far. Okay, let's see if it remembered the time. Like I said, I'm just concerned because there was a kind of a janky, someone took out the old battery for the clock out and replaced it with a coin cell adapter. And yeah, that date there is just the build. So, but anyway, I just want to make sure if that worked okay. What are we at here? F8. And no, the battery backed up clock is either not working or most likely the battery has long since expired, even coin cell or not, or even if there's a coin cell in there. And again, anyway, I'm tending, yes, I am tending to ramble. So let's turn this off, remove everything, and go from there. See what we're up against. Okay, as we take this apart, I might as well show you. This card here must be some kind of IDE interface because it goes to the CD-ROM only by the looks of it. It's hard to say. No, sorry. Geez, sorry about that. It's hard to, well, we'll know when we take it apart. But apparently it goes to the CD-ROM itself. And let me pull out this card if I can. I haven't tested the CD-ROM yet, but oh well, we'll do that later. Pull that out. And it doesn't say anything on the card except for a serial number. Wait, it's a tandem CD. Yeah, tandem CD, so I guess it's, yeah, duh. So right there, you have an IDE. God, I cannot talk today. An IDE controller plus the CD-ROM connector. So yes, this is a tandem IDE controller and CD-ROM connector. So it's an IDE basically 2-channel by the looks of it. So, yep, ATA, probably PATA, parallel ATA connector. And of course the CD-ROM connection there. So that's what that card is for. My 2000 has a Buddha, which does all of that as well. I don't know if this goes anywhere else. It might be just the CD-ROM. And our next area of interest is this card here. This is the loose card, so it shouldn't take too much to get that off since it's already trying to fall off. And I will attempt to remove this screw. I am working in really cramped quarters for some reason. Okay, so that's ready to be pulled out. I'm assuming this is the RAM expansion. Right, and I'm trying to take it off this riser board. And yeah, one moment. Yeah, I unplugged everything and maybe I can pull it out towards me, then off to the side. I can also push from this side here. These things are in here rather solidly. There we go. Okay, and it barely fits. I mean, out. There we go. Let me just wiggle this out, or it's going to hit this, isn't it? Yeah. It should come out. Okay, there we go. Removed. So this looks like it's a hard drive controller as well. And I think they're using the, well, obviously they're using the one on the motherboard, but they had the option to use the, because there's the mounts for it, put the hard drive on this card. It might be a bit faster. This might be a SCSI card. Yeah, rapid fire. There we go. I'll look that up and I'll put it in the video, of course, in text. That's probably a SCSI controller, I would imagine, because one of the biggest complaints when the 4000 came out and the 1200 is they went from the more expensive SCSI, which is at that time was faster, to the cheaper and slightly slower IDE type interface. But looking at that, that's SCSI. And I might even have a SCSI drive I can put on this, but I probably gonna go the route of compact flash on the main board here. But we'll see what happens during the many parts of this video. This is part one, obviously, because this is going to take too long, because it's going to be restoration as well, because this thing needs to be cleaned up. You know, there it is. It come loose. It's not even attached to the board. Oh my. Anyway, I'm distracted. Ooh, look, reflections. Shiny. Sorry. Yeah, I'll clean that up. Putting your fingers on these connectors is not a good idea, but as long as you clean it up with IPA, you'll be fine. So it looks like RAM expansion board. Like I said, the Rapid Fire by DKB. Put that aside. So that was the two expansion cards. Was an IDE interface and a SCSI RAM interface. So let me put this off to the side gently because I don't want to wreck this stuff. And here, as I come down and down, this is why our battery backed up clock wasn't working. Someone looks like they just tried to, yeah, solder that on, and I don't know. It's not there anymore. It's not even connected to the board, but that's good. It looks like I can easily fix that. I'm going to actually solder it to the board because I have to take the board out anyways. And I'll probably recap this one as well because I do not think that's been done. But the good thing, looking at this board, there looks like the battery never did any damage to this board. That is good. And these not so amazing, oop, let me zoom out here. Yeah, the battery looks like when they replaced it, didn't have time to corrode. The board looks really clean. There's a bit of corrosion here, but it's much better than the previous board that I had as well. Oh, cool. I'm kind of getting off topic here, but that's got the latest Buster revision chip in it. If this thing will even focus on it. Yeah, version 11. So I don't have to swap that out. Basically, the latest revision gets rid of a bug, so at least one of these slots, usually you want your graphics card, will be able to work with DMA mode. Any Buster revision before that, as far as I know, will not. So you'll get improved performance, at least from a graphics card standpoint, by having the Buster 11 installed. So that's already in here. So there's our RAM. So I wonder how much is on board, if it's a full 16 or not. I guess the only way I can do is by powering it up, but we'll do that later because there was some additional RAM on the other board. But the back slot here will be your 2 megs of chip RAM, and then these other 4, there's 5 total, but the other 4 can go up to 4 megabyte modules each, total of 16. And that is that. The riser seems to be okay. So I'm going to pull the rest of the, if I can get this out of here, the rest of the stuff out of this computer, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to take the riser retaining plate off. Oh, wait, first I got to take off the mount for the hard drive. It's here and here. You can see that in video? Yes, you can. So let me remove the hard drive first. Then I will take off the riser. My other 4000 didn't have the one that I sold for some stupid reason. Idiot, I am. Oh well. But I guess I needed to eat at that time. Didn't have this. And I imagine it would have come from Commodore if it came with the hard drive option, and probably would not have if it did not, knowing the way Commodore ran things. Okay. Plastic shield of sorts, or whatever. And yeah, this hard drive connected directly to the motherboard. So the CD-ROM ran off the IDE interface, the add-in card, the tandem, and this ran off the motherboard. They could have, with the right adapter, ran the CD-ROM 4.3 gigabytes, and it's a bit loose, but I probably will not be putting that back in. I will set that aside. Okay, so now I can remove the riser. Support. And make sure you don't misplace your screws. So the motherboard looks good. So with a bit of hope, a bit of luck, a bit of elbow grease, I can get this thing cleaned up, recapped, and all that fun stuff, and restored to its original glory. There, and the bar just comes off like so. Put that aside as well. I'm putting a lot of things aside. And I am recording, because that would be bad if I was not. And the riser will just pull out with a bit of persuasion. There it goes. Rock it a bit back and forth with my arm in the way. And there's the riser. Maybe I gotta set this camera back a bit further. Sorry about that. There we go. Yeah, there's the riser there. Very important. Believe it or not, some people sell these on eBay for hundreds of dollars. But I guess if you want to expand your Amiga 4000 and it doesn't have one of these, what option do you have? Okay, now to remove the cables. I'm really happy it has an 040 in this, even though I will be upgrading that. Okay, and unplug that cable. Yeah, there's only one header there for the IDE. So for the hard drive, that's why they probably got the add-in card to put the CD-ROM. But there is an adapter you can buy that will give you 2 ports. Plus, you'll still have access to the floppy, and I'll show that to you later. So the floppy connector is here, and that was the tripod. You are correct. I need to do like a tripod hitting count on my videos, because I imagine it's getting up there. This one comes out, so that's the IDE cable taken out of this. So as you can see, cables everywhere. Okay, and that is the power connector. That's the main. Let me get you in closer. Yeah, so you can actually see here. There we go. So there's the board, the memory, and like I said, all the other chips. And then that's the add-in 68040. What I was worried about, this, and I'm pretty sure I made sure it had something like this. There are some cost-reduced 4000s with the 030 that are soldered right to the board, the motherboard, which means good luck trying to expand that. So this one has the correct CPU header to, plug in the add-in card like this, which seems to be functioning. And it's got the low profile heatsink as well. This too will be in another part of this series. Will be upgraded to an 060 that is going to be slightly faster. And like I said, I'm going to be probably going compact flash route for the boot. Okay, so all I have to do is pull out the other stuff, and I will get down to the board. Once I get that far, I'll be right back. Okay, now the next thing you have to do is, and you can't see it here, let me rotate this heavy monstrosity. Oh, it's not that bad, my 2000 weighs, oops, sorry. That's what, count number 3 for this video? You have to remove these. There's 6 of them, 3 on the top, which I got loose. That's one going to be awkward too, and 3 on the bottom. You have to be careful. The plastic is really old. If you force this, they will break off. And sadness will be happening when that occurs, because it's not fun to fix that. So yeah, there's that one there is going to be awkward because the CPU board is in the way. And then of course there's one on the other side which I can get to. So let me get the front plate off. Once I get the front plate off, hopefully without breaking any of the connectors, I'll get access to the screws back here so I can pull this out. And the power supply, likewise, there's screws at the back here which can be removed. But I digress. Let's continue this excitement. I'll tend to these clips and I will be right back at that time. Well, I had to remove this board, the accelerator board. This is the 3640. It was pretty easy. There's just standoffs that, here, I'll show you. Whoop, right here. They actually pop off, and I was managed to pry it from the other side over here without having to remove everything, because I have to get to this tab, and there's actually a tab right here as well. There's 4 on the bottom. And like I said, I'm not trying to break these, so I got to be careful. So there's the 68040, fully functional. There's no memory on board, obviously. It uses the memory here or from the expansion card from before. But regardless, let us, oh yes, and by the way, let me zoom in here. Indeed, it has the 3.1 ROMs, which on this one is the 40.68. And I believe there's even 40.70 that was more A4000 specific. I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but whatever. It works. But these will be replaced as well, probably with the 3.22 ROMs. Yes. Okay, and one other thing too I noticed. Let me zoom out a bit here. This is where the screws mount to stop this from moving. So, but as you can tell, there's 2 screws here. Nothing on this side. So, what the hell, man? But anyways, it wasn't going anywhere. But I'm going to obviously make sure that's taken care of as well. I might put a SCSI drive in here as well, since we do have the that other board. So, yes, indeed. I will finish removing this faceplate, and I'll be right back. Yes, right back. Hey, caramba. Success. I got this front plate off, and with all the tabs intact. Like I said, the 4 on the bottom, and then 3 on the top. And you can see they're all here, top and bottom. So that is good. And this can be a candidate for retro writing and cleaning up as well. And as you can see now, it's I have full access, one moment, to the front, which is right here. As I put my entire body in the way. Yeah, that's better. So now I have full access to the front screws here. And this tripod, once again, is too high. Let me just take this off this mount. Sorry about that. Yes, and as you can see, I have full access to my amateur video abilities. So do you. Okay, there we go. Screws there. Nothing on the bottom, but yeah, no screw there as well. Come on, you can focus. I don't think I'm zoomed in. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, and then I should be able to get the power supply out with those back screws. Yes, I'll get that done, and I'll be right back. We should be able to see the entire motherboard at that point. Okay, welcome to the sky view. That's how up this thing goes. Of course, the power supply, the 2 screws back here, it had one, wrong size, loosely fitting. So someone's been inside this. Luckily, this thing is intact. These things sometimes go missing, and good luck trying to find one. And that's number 5 for the camera. Tripod, yes. I might be off by a couple. Anyways, this will come out. It's got this connector here. Pinch that up and gently wiggle this off. Everything is disconnected. This should just pull right out. That's it. As you can see, the power supply takes up like 1/4 of the space. I may recap this, or what I like to do is put another power supply inside of it, basically a small form factor, I think SFX or whatever, power supply in here. But I'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It should be fine, relatively. And as I said before, I will put this aside, but I'm running out of sides. Yes, one moment, I will move this out of the way. Ah, yes, the fun. Actually, it is fun, or else I wouldn't be doing this. Okay, so move the tripod here a bit. There we go. That's as close as I can get you in on the action. Perfect. Pretty much. So there's the motherboard. And like I said, there's no corrosion. There's some corrosion. I just said there was no corrosion. There's some minor corrosion. And there is some at the back here by this audio connector. And I'm not sure how well that will be able to zoom in or not, or how well you'll be able to see it. But there's an audio connector. It's not in use back here. I think for mixing the Amiga audio and CD audio together. Back there, it has a bit of corrosion. And remember, I pointed out before, if I turn this around without scratching my monitor, there is way too much zoom happening. Sorry about that. There is, yeah, corrosion right here as I get it into frame, which probably affected that connector because it's very close by as well. So, yes, that's it. So what I'll do is I'm going to take out the motherboard and probably recap it in the next episode. But that's kind of premature right now because I'm not done with this one. So let's remove this motherboard and then I'll show you it in its entirety. Okay, the motherboard has been freed from its confines. As you can see, there's obviously a bit of dust on here, especially on where the edge of the board was exposed to the elements. But I'm going to pop these off and see how much corrosion, if any. It looks like this was this horrible hack job here, but that was better than what was in there. The NiCad battery looked like it was removed long before it spilled its guts and destroyed things. This is actually one of the better looking motherboards I've seen, much better than my spare. So cool. And one of the neat things here, what I like about these computers is, if I can find it, where's my finger? That's not the right, that is my finger, it's not the right finger. Yeah, that's the right one. Right where my finger is, you can put it into, let me focus a bit. Where are we here? I know you're there. There we go. Yes, we're right there. So is it in focus? I don't know. Yeah, it was in manual focus. Autofocus doesn't seem to do as well. That's better. You can use NTSC or PAL. Unlike on the 1200s, you're kind of stuck with the way it's configured and having to use software. So I'm going to put this to PAL because much more compliant for software, and my OSCC, my scan converter, has no issues with PAL. It doesn't like NTSC from these machines, as you saw earlier. So I'm going to set that jumper. But overall, the board looks fine, but we're going to take a look at my very up-close personal memory. Yeah, I don't trust autofocus, but we'll see what happens. So there's the memory modules. I'll leave the back one in because that's used for chip RAM, and it's got to be double-sided, 1 meg on each side. Of course, gives you 2 megabytes, right? So let me, and these are the cheap plastic sockets, the catches on it. Anyways, be very careful with them. Don't pull them back, you'll break them. Same idea here. You can buy replacements, but they're a pain in the butt. And the trick here is when you pull them out, pull them on the angle that they're at. If you try to pull it forward, you'll break these poor tabs, which are not the greatest. Just be careful with it. There we go. And one more. Okay, gently. Don't force it. I don't want to replace these. It's nice when you're done with it because they're you know, they got metal locking tabs and they're plastic. They're more robust, but they are painful to remove. Damn it! So there's a small amount of corrosion. I'm not sure if you can, if I can zoom into that here. On that, on this chip right here. I'm not sure how well this zoom is going to work. Yeah, there's a small amount of corrosion there. And of course here, oh, there we go, which is easy enough to take care of. But other than that, if I get you closer, if you look down at the traces that runs underneath all of these, connects all the memory modules together, no corrosion. So this board's in really good shape. Yeah, that capacitor has to be replaced. Like I said, I'm recapping these boards. There's a few that have maybe not necessarily corroded as in green, but still signs that the capacitor is nearing its end of its life and spilling out all of its guts and whatnot. So yes, the excitement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this board, remove the ROMs first, clean up this board, and then the recapping procedure must begin. I do have a kit for it, and that usually takes about a couple hours to do properly. There's some electrolytics. So are these actually, but full-size electrolytics and then surface mount ones here. So these are through-hole components. There's only a couple of these. There's one there, one over here, and I think that's it. The rest is surface mount. And of course, I'll deal with this. It's not too bad actually. Let me get you in for a closer look here. So as you can see, when they replaced the NiCad battery with the coin cell, they just kind of did the easy way and tried to solder it to the existing terminals of the old one that they cut off. So no damage here. I can easily replace that and mount it properly to the circuit board with another coin cell battery that I have. I also make sure that it's not trying to charge because they're not supposed to, and or say eventually blow up and other stuff. But we'll worry about that later once I get this board cleaned up. Yes, And now we will reverse zoomage and turn on the autofocus and get my finger in the way. And hey, what more could you ask for? What more could you ask for? Anyway, regardless, let me clean this board up and I'll be right back. So once again, I have returned. I'm about to recap this board. What I've done though, in the meantime, is I fired up my desoldering station because I only need that for, one, removing the 2 electrolytic capacitors that were here, and also to remove the construct that was put into this place here with the NiCad battery. It was a nickel, sorry, it was a whatchamacallit, coin cell battery holder, just like this one, but this one's actually much better and it's brand new. I got this from Amiga kit. I put in a new battery because I'm not sure how long this thing was sitting around. And it's got the 3 posts, which will go in here, which is nice. And it also has the diode, which will protect this from being charged because it's a not chargeable battery. So basically what it does, diodes only allow power to go in one direction. So the power from the battery can reach the real-time clock here, but the power from the motherboard will not make it to the coin cell and cause it to explode because it's not rechargeable. Because remember, it was an NiCad in here meant to be charged. So, and they're roughly around 3.6 volts. These are 3, but most of the real-time clocks, they work fine down to about 1.8, 1.5 volts. So that's still more than enough headroom. Anyway, so I will install this later, but I'm going to recap the board. I'm not sure if I showed, I think one of my videos, I think the CD32, I showed recapping of the board. I'm not going to go through it on this one, just because it's the same procedure. But I do have, again, for some reason, from Amiga Kit, not a sponsor. Actually, nobody sponsors my show. I can't even monetize my channel because not enough, whatever. I don't have time anyways. This isn't my job. This is a hobby, and I have another job, unfortunately. I can't do this full time. Whatever. If I did, at least you'd see more videos, right? This is the the A4000 capacitor kit. And it will have all the components to repopulate this board. It's going to take me a couple hours to do that. Most of the caps look kind of okay. The audio ones over here, I'm not sure how much I can get in on that and how this camera is going to behave when I try to zoom in. But you'll notice that some of these have a darker black band and some are slightly grayer. I find on all the Amiga motherboards, it must be the quality of caps. The ones that has a slight gray mark for like the negative versus the solid, like for the darker black, they tend to leak way more often than the better caps. I guess they're just better quality. The ones with the dark negative there on the paint versus the light gray. Light gray seem to leak, and how you can tell is the solder pads that you can just see underneath them they won't be shiny. They'll be kind of tinned grayish looking, and some even just literally corroded. You can see it. But anyway, enough of that. I'm going to recap this board, and hopefully I will be back, because I don't mind recapping, but it's painful indeed. But it's got to be done since I have it out here. Other than that, though, like I said before, this board is in really good shape. Whoever took this battery out did it just in time, or at least the battery wasn't as bad as some of I've seen. And yeah, it's going to be replaced. Well, actually, one thing I was going to show you, and I forgot because it's been powered on all this time just waiting, is on the multimeter. I will now measure the voltage before I put this in here. So put it upside down. See which one's negative, which one's positive. And of course I have it reversed. So positive are the 2 legs, and the negative is the solo one. And there we are, almost at 3 volts, which isn't bad. So they must be using a Schottky diode. Schottky diodes have a lower forward bias voltage, which means you don't, the most diodes you get a voltage drop of about 0.7 volts. Schottky diodes are closer to 0.2, 0.3. So we're doing pretty good. So that's really good. So enough of that. Whoops, get back in there. So we know everything's going to work just fine as I recap this board. So it's going to take me a bit, and when I'm done, I will be back. So after about 3 hours, the board is completely recapped, and just to let you know, even though some of them looked okay, once I removed them, there was corrosion underneath it. But luckily, none of the pads were destroyed, so I would highly recommend recapping these things. I know there's a bit of debate on the internet about that, but when in doubt, swap it out, I guess. But anyways, it's all done. Put the ROMs back in. So I'm ready to power it up and see if everything works. I just put the 2 megs of chip, and I said, of course, the ROMs back in. Now, it's not going to boot up, but I should get at least, you know, the kickstart screen, hopefully, because I have nothing plugged into the floppy drive, and of course I have no hard drive or solid state drive or compact flash or any kind of boot media. So let's see what happens when I turn this on with my arm in the way. Well, the drive clicked, I guess, and let's see what the monitor has to say. There's usually a timeout when it realizes it can't boot off of anything. You know, I'm an idiot. You know why? I am missing the CPU board. It will never boot. Ever. Let me rectify that situation, and we'll try this one more time. Yes, or else this will be the only screen we'll ever be looking at for all eternity. I shall return. Okay, now that I have the CPU board installed, the standoffs are actually missing. I do have spares. There's supposed to be 4 total. There's one here, one underneath the heatsink, and these two are missing. But like I said, I'll replace those. Now that we actually have a processor installed with some memory, let's try this again. Yes, let's try this again. Okay, here we go. Any second now. Turning it on. Okay, hard drive made click noise. Ah, much better. Oh, the reflections. So that looks promising. So we should get a boot screen, not boot screen, but the kickstart screen in about 20 seconds. You could admire the reflection of my highly glossy Hewlett Packard, yes, HP monitor. I wait patiently. Oh, there we go. So, it at least was not destroyed. I always sound so confident, don't I? But no, actually, I'm pretty good at this. This is probably my 6th board I've recapped. It just gets easier and easier. But I'm very meticulous and very picky on how the caps get aligned, so it usually takes me a bit longer. The board is in really good shape, far better than I expected it to be. So I'm going to now boot off of the AMI test disk. And, my business, what's happening here? You know what? I can't do this. I just can't. Not from that angle anyways. Let me try this again. Aha! Success. And it boots. And I have no devices hooked up. Let me get the either the mouse or the crusty keyboard. Yes, and I'll lower this tripod because the camera, I should say, kind of looking down at this. Yes, I'll be right back. Okay, we're up and running with the keyboard installed, and let's see if I can set the time on this, shall we? The real-time clock is F8. At least that still works. And let me set the time, F2. And go through this again. It is June the 15th at, what's F3? Year 2023. Any second now. The time is 11:02 or 23:02 for those people that use 24-hour clocks. Come on. All right, close enough. 23:03 will do. And now I'm going to save this by hitting escape. Okay. And then I will escape altogether. Turn it off, and I'll be right back. Okay, the computer has booted up, and let's see if it remembers the time. I left it off for about 30 seconds, so that's F8. And indeed it is, it's 11:08. It's actually a minute fast, which is accurate because it was before. So it looks like it's keeping the time. So that is good. So that means the real-time clock is working along with the battery. Now, I haven't tried the sound on this yet, so let me try that now. And that's sound is, our audio's F5. So I have audio, you probably can't tell on the from the video, but I have sound coming out of both speakers, but got reduced volume on this, I guess the left channel. It's distorted. Let me show you. Let me see here. What channel is it? Okay. Let me try to turn this back on again. There, I don't know if she can hear that. That's what I get out of the left channel. Yeah, so there's something not right with the audio. I should have tried this, whoops, sorry. I should have tried this, the audio before I capped everything, but I'm pretty sure it's not that. Remember, it made a weird popping and other noises before I recapped it, so there might be an issue. So I'm gonna have to figure out what it is, because that is completely unacceptable. So let me see what's going on. I'm gonna, of course, check the connections first. So I shall be right back, and I'll let you know what I find. Yes, always something, isn't it? So I've returned. I haven't troubleshot it yet, but there was a loose connection, but now distortion's louder because now the connections are proper. It was up to the amplifier, was a bit loose. Let's hear the horror. There we go. Now it's louder, crap. Listen to that awesome garbage. Yes. So that's out of the left channel. So I gotta figure out what's going on. So something is not right. And let me turn this down a bit. The op amp responsible, it's dual. So there's the same op amp that handles left and right. So yes, I will see what's going on with that. And as I said before, I will report back to you with hopefully something that sounds better than this. Excellent. That's better. Just one channel, 2 channels for you. Excellent. It's really loud too. So anyway, I'll let you know what I find eventually.